Good evening. Today I'm going to give a demo about the C Sharp training. So C Sharp is a automation testing tool for which I'm going to give a demo. Yeah, coming to the trainer, I have completed my diploma in computer science and being in computer science. Almost I have 11 plus years of IT experience and relevant to automation testing is around 8 plus years. Coming to a development, before that I was working as a developer, working with developing Windows, web and mobile application experience of more than 6 years. What is today's agenda? Today's agenda is like understanding automation, why it is automation is required and how we used to test using manual process earlier. So how we are moving to an automation, why it is required, all those things we are going to learn. And within that automation, there are lots of options are available. So within that, we are going to learn about the Selenium. Why Selenium? So why actually we are going to select the Selenium course only to automate the web application. Finally, we are going to conclude for all four topics. Course curriculum. Under this, how to create automation framework. So in this like Visual Studio, we are going to use as an IDE for whatever programming language we are going to code, like C, C++, Oracle, Java, whatever it is. For everything, we need an IDE. So Visual Studio is one of the IDE provided by Microsoft, which we are going to use for a C# Selenium. And one DLL reference API file is required for as a Selenium WebDriver. Next is unit testing project. We are going to create it. And browser drivers, like which browser we are going to use it for an end customer. For example, it may be a Chrome, it may be IE, it may be Firefox, it may be Android browser, or any, like it supports multiple browsers, any browser it can be. So next we are going to find it like how understand how elements are identified, are located. So whole programming, the automating the web application is depends on how we are finding the elements in the DOM structure. So in the HTML, like we are as an end user, people will be seeing and whatever the UI has been shown, but behind that, an HTML plays a major role in a web application. So each HTML tag will be identified and we need to function that. For example, if a username text box is there, we need to identify the text box using these different element identifiers. Then we need to input the username, then identify password text box, then identify the button and click on login button. These are all the process. So to do that process, we need to first identify the elements. Then we can do some action on that particular elements. So how we are going to find the elements? There are different ways of identifying the elements, like ID, class, XPath, tag name, CSS selectors. Like there are a lot of. So we are going to work on like how we are going to identify the elements. Then how to identify the objects in the web pages. There are different type of XPaths. So what are the types? Where we need to use which XPaths, like relative or absolute. All those things we are going to learn. And we are going to write a basic test case and we will be executing the test case. So coming to the next point, like working with the different web elements. So as I told earlier, like there will be a different web elements. Like whatever you see in the web page, it will be one type of web element. For example, it may be a label, it may be a text box, it may be a radio button, it may be a combo box, drop down list, like lots of web elements are there. So we need to work with that. So each web element, we need to work in a different way. So if we are doing on the button, we cannot enter the text. We need to click on it. So on the text box, we can do both. We can click on it for due to some functionality, or we can enter the text also. So like the different function actions we are going to perform on that particular elements. So similarly, different elements. So checkbox, alert, pop-up, iframe, windows, those are also different. We will be working as a different in that particular web elements. And some of the actions will be there, like JavaScript, we will be working as a different. For action items, we will be working as a different action items in the sense move the object, double click it, or drag and drop, like those type of functionality, it comes under actions. And uploading a file, that is also a different concept. That is also we are going to learn. And then create a page object model framework. So there are different way of writing in code. So within a single class file, we can write a full whole applications automation code within a single file. But that is not the right way. It's confuses a developer, automation developer. It's not a user-friendly developer way. So we will avoid to do that in a single file. So what we will do, we'll create the same in a different framework. One of the very famous framework is page object model. Here what we do, we will divide the framework like coding into a different layers. So page object model comes under 3 layers. One is entry point and exit point. Then we are handling a different pages in a different 2 layers. Like that, we will be developing a code. So that is a very user friendly. Any newcomer, new joiner also can understand the application or a project. That's how the framework will be built. We will be creating that like that. Test class at different layers we will be creating and we will be showcasing that. Next, finally, we will be practicing all the tests like whatever we saw above, like different locators, different projects, different elements, all those things we will be familiarizing, we will be doing a best practice. And also we'll make sure like you'll be ready for tracking the interview questions as much as possible. Like we'll be trying and training you people for interview purpose. C Sharp Selenium training introduction. So here, like the introduction is contents of 15 hours. So for timings and fee structure, you can anytime contact to a Mind Magics, given a contact number in the final slide. This course is included understanding automation, manual versus automation, C Sharp Selenium and why C Sharp Selenium, writing Selenium scripts using C Sharp, testing and application. So understanding automation. So automation in the sense like it's automatically executes the process and gives the result like it's a passed or a failed. What is testing actually? For example, if we consider a simple scenario, giving an username, then password, and clicking on login, it will enter to a next home page of the any application usually. So manual versus automation. Manually, we can test the same application by entering the URL first in the browser, open the browser, enter the URL, then it will open the particular application. Then in the username text box, you give the username, then password you enter and click on the login. So manually, if it does, it enters to a home page. That is a one scenario, it will successfully pass that particular scenario if it works fine. If on clicking of login, it won't enters to a home page, it will give an error or like it says invalid user, all those things, it comes under testing scenarios that we can do manually. The same thing we'll be writing a one-time code. So once we execute that code, automatically does all these things, open a browser, enter the URL, username, password, and click on button and enter to a home page. These it will done automatically. Then the accuracy will be more. So human interference won't be there, human interference error won't be there, so lagging won't be there. Everything is full-fledged and the accurate result we will get it in a faster way. If you want to execute the same scenario for 10 times, then it will take like 10 minutes. But in the automation, it will take only 2 or 3 minutes. It automatically does everything. and gives the result. It's a pass or a fail according to the scenario. So next, coming to the C Sharp Selenium. So Selenium is one type of a tool or an API interface using which, using another programming language like C Sharp or a Java or an Python, Ruby, any languages we can use it with both, and we will create an automation script. So C Sharp is one of the very famous, familiar automation programming language. So why Selenium means, like, Selenium is an open source. It supports multiple languages. So like C Sharp, Java, Ruby, everything. So works across the multiple OS. It can be executed in multiple OS, like it may be Android OS, it may be in Windows OS, Windows different versions, and in a Unix, Linux. Everywhere we can use it, this script. That's why it's very famous. So it supports multiple browsers. So we can use it in almost all browsers. That's why it's very famous. So supports multiple framework. We can build a multiple framework for this. And it supports multiple devices also, like laptop, tab, everything it will support, desktop. It's very easy to implement. Add-ons and reusability is also very nice. That's why it's like, it's very, very familiar automation tool. Mainly it's a open source. You'll get so many helping documents also. Writing Selenium script using C Sharp. So you'll be giving complete details how to write a Selenium script using a C Sharp. All those things we will be explaining. And finally, testing and web application. It's like how to test the web application. All those things we are going to explain in that training session. So where exactly C Sharp Selenium stands in the market? So it's a very important question. Like if someone is coming for any training or something like that, paying some money and getting a training means he will be having a huge question. The first question is, what I will get it from this course? So that is very important and logically correct question, because he is spending something, he wants in turn something. So in the market, C Sharp is very booming. Like it's, so many requirements are there. As a developer, so application is developed by a C Sharp ASP.NET means usually they will be using C Sharp Selenium to test the application. So if you learn this, since it is open source, free, and as I explained already, like accurate and hence, like it's having a lots of bunch of features. That's why it's very famous. So more opportunities are there outside in the market. Like, and you can become like QA engineer, automation test lead, quality engineer, senior test engineer, and architect level also. There is a designations, like you can become as per your expertise. You can be in different layers, different designation. So huge opportunity with the C Sharp Selenium. Coming to the certification. So once you complete the course over here, so you'll be provided a certification of C Sharp Selenium. But even though if you want to work with more certification using this knowledge, then you can go for a C Sharp certification, and a separate Selenium certification also is there. That also you can go do it. And if you find in the automation testing field only you want to do a different certification, you can go for CAST, ISTQB, CST, CTM, CSSBS. Like different courses are there. Certified associate in software testing, foundation level, certified software testing engineer, certified test manager, Six Sigma black belt certification. All those things you can do it and enhance your knowledge and enhance your CV's importance. So next slide, like this is the certification we are going to provide after this completion of this course. So detailed certification with the trainer and certified companies, everything, signature, everything will be, details will be there. So random topics of the course, like as I already told, Selenium supports multiple languages. So it's Selenium is just an API. So different languages can incorporate with that particular API and start working on doing an automation. It supports Java, C Sharp, Ruby, JavaScript, and R and Python. Python and R, like it's everything is like booming with the C Sharp. C Sharp is a Microsoft programming language. It's having a bunch of features. You take whatever you want, like mobile, desktop, any feature you name it, Microsoft having the solution for it with C Sharp. So all are readily available. Then projects we will demonstrating. So finally, after completing the course, we will be demonstrating the project. So we can take any name it the website, we can automate that if we have the permission to have access to that particular website. So then we can like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Naukri, any website you can automate by your own. But since we have our own website, mindmagics.com, we will be familiarizing this automation code with this particular website only. Like whatever the options are available in that particular website, it's having a label, button, checkbox, radio button, link, many things are there. Everything we'll be going and testing each and every elements, how it works. We will be familiarizing with each and every elements. Similarly, we can have one more website which is having more option which is not available in MindMagic, because like one website is having a some options, in some websites is having a different options. So to understand in a different way, to elaborate our knowledge, we will be using a different website also by searching a different website wherein a different option will be there. Maybe it may contains a drag and drop, it may contains a checkbox, it may be contains a hidden elements, how to work with that, audio, video, all those things we will try to cover within a second website. We will definitely help to a lab setup. So wherein we will make sure like in your system everything is ready to do automation, C Sharp Selenium automation. So requirement, system requirement, maybe it's really required any laptop or a desktop with the minimum 4 GB of RAM. And we will be working on Windows OS rather with a Mac or an Unix. So Visual Studio is must required. Right? As I told, like IDE interface is very much is required for any programming language to upcoding. For example, Java uses Eclipse, Python uses PyCharm. Similarly, C Sharp usually it will be used by Visual Studio. It's a free version is also available in their website and a paid version also with the extra add-on features. So extra features is not much required for our purpose, but anything you can get installed in your machine. Then we will be integrating a Selenium WebDriver to that. Then definitely we need a browser. So on which we are going to test that particular browser, because for example some end users only mainly they concentrate on Chrome browser, or some they mainly concentrate on IE. For example, usually government Indian government people used to tell like use IE. Any government comparatively they will prefer IE browser. IE is called like it's stopped supporting by a Microsoft, but Edge, Microsoft Edge is another browser that also it Selenium supports. You can use that also. Chrome browser, Netscape, you name it, that browser you can use. That particular browser should be installed in your machine to satisfy the testing. Yeah, of course, like web application is required to test that specific application, like any website. Next is if it is any required additional course resources, you can anytime go through executeautomation.com, guru99.com, toolsqa.com, learnautomation.com. If you like to watch a video and learn, then of course Udemy is also available. All these like it gives like slide by slide or a different way of like one way communication learning will be there. Of course, anytime you can refer this website, but ours is like two-way communication, like lively. You can learn so many things. Most importantly, so once you have done a course, it's not like completed. Once we give a certification, it's not a completed. So even we will try to make you to pass the interview by doing some mock interviews. Like for example, there are a lot of Selenium questions. Selenium questions is a different and C Sharp questions are different. We will be merging both and we will be helping you to crack the interviews. Like what is absolute and relative expert, which programming language are supported in Selenium, how will you find an element. As I told, a different ways of finding an element are there. It's called as locators, XPath, CSS selector, ID, tag name, link, partial links, like so many. Explain the difference between single and double slash in XPath. It's a tricky question. Like everyone, like XPath is straightforward question. XPath and as absolute expert and relative expert, that type of question. Sometimes they ask single and double slash in experts. So you should be ready for answering these tricky questions. Mention what is the difference between implicit wait and explicit wait. So like sometimes like in the coding you need to wait for sometimes. So they due to application issue, application slowness, or like sometimes it waits for some other thing to load. All those things you need to wait for sometimes. That time a different way of waiting is there, like it's implicit wait and explicit wait. Implicit wait is like implicitly you are waiting for some specific time. Explicit wait is like explicitly you are telling like wait till it loads. Like these different ways of waiting sort of you can explain it in a better way once you complete the course. Yeah, for this demo session, if you have any questions, any doubts, anytime, you can just email to us. Like so, immediately we'll get an answer for your doubts at any time. Yeah, that's all for the day. We appreciate your feedback, and this will help us improve in delivering qualitative training further.